question so that we can help startups understand right from the foundation level, the basics, and help them scale up in their businesses. So today we have Mr. Tejinder Jassal with us. I will give you a brief introduction about himself. Mr. Tejinder is an esteemed graduate of IIT Delhi. He excels in telecom, real-time systems, and product design. He is founder director of Pilot Technology in Hong Kong and Shenzhen, shaping top-notch electronics. He studied at IIT Roper.
No, IIT Delhi.
IIT Delhi, sorry, yeah. You helped IIT Roper. I heard you saying that right. So he studied at IIT Delhi. He's also he was a member of the Senate of IIT Roper. That's how IIT Roper connection is there. He is guest faculty at the Aravali Institute of Management, Bangalore, where he teaches fundamentals of startups and innovation. And that is where we picked the topic startups innovation, because we think that innovation is what helps, a startup to actually start the idea of being a new business. Mr. Tejinder is also involved with the incubation centers of Kurukshetra University and STPI Mohali. And it will go on and on because he has a huge, long introduction. I cannot complete it in words like this. But I have been in the ecosystem with Mr. Tejinder for about 3 years now, learned a lot, and I enjoy his company personally. Now, presenting to you, Mr. Tejinder, and we will talk about startups, innovation for startups. And before that, if you can just take us through your brief journey of your startup and yourself.
Sure. Thank you, Anuradha.
Thank you.
Ever since I got out of college way back in 1976, I've been working purely in product design, and manufacturing got added later on. And I have had the opportunity of working in across various fields. So it's more than 46 years now. And I've been some sort of a serial entrepreneur, setting up companies, closing them, not selling them, just closing them because I couldn't make money. During this journey, I've also had the opportunity of writing articles for magazines, primarily simplifying technology for the layman. I had a column in a magazine called Data Quest, which I ran for about 40 months, regularly every month. And got the opportunity to write books on computers for children. So it's a set of 6 books which I wrote for classes 3 to class 8. Again, how to teach a young student how to use a computer. Okay, so you have to, bring yourself down to that level and things. I started off on my own in 1995, and again, product design. And we were the first company, perhaps in India, in India, definitely, to design an advanced set-top box for an American customer. And that set-top box had, everything. It had an internet access. It had a hard disk. It had a CD, DVD player. And you could do everything. It had a connection link with the PC as well. And we were the first company in India to work with Bluetooth. And I remember that interview very well because CSF Thompson were the authorized agents for selling Bluetooth technology in India. And they interviewed me for almost 2 hours just to understand if I would be able to deliver. And I remember at that time, the cost of the Bluetooth package was $35. So now, of course, it's all You find Bluetooth everywhere and you don't even realize its cost because it's hardly any cost. But that at that time in 1999, it was $35. I moved to Shenzhen in 2013, primarily because the kind of work that we were doing, I could not find people to do it. And the ecosystem. We were working on a healthcare project. We designed a polysomnography machine, which is for sleep analysis. And I couldn't find people to design with me on the hardware and manufacture it and things like that. And that's when I first visited Shenzhen, and I was totally floored by the kind of ecosystem that is available there. And from 2013, ever since I've been working in Shenzhen, we've had the opportunity to design products for our customers in America, in Australia, Europe, South America, even in Japan. And there's a major difference between working in Shenzhen and working in India. So maybe that we can talk about in some other session, because
Right.
That's a longish kind of a thing. And I get accused of being half Chinese myself. So when I talk about what we do there and why we can't do it here, so people say, "Aap to China ki baat karoge, wahan pe kaam karte ho." So, but the thing is that because we are what we call an ODM and OEM company, we get to learn and work in a lot of different technologies. So we worked in medical devices, we worked in smart solutions, smart home, smart building solutions. We worked in consumer electronics, various kinds of products, etc., etc. Makes it very interesting. Okay. And yes, I enjoy quizzing. When I'm not designing products, I end up doing a lot of quizzing. Been doing it for the last 50 years, ever since I was in college. And I've also done some television work, something on radio, and made documentary films, made other training films, etc. Okay, but that's just a pastime. Okay, my major activity is product design. So let's dive into the topic right away. Okay.
Yep.
Let me just share my screen. Okay, I'm supposed to be talking on innovation for startups. So what I'll do is I'll share some of my thoughts on what innovation means and things, and what are the challenges, and how do you innovate primarily. So innovation as such, the word is a very nebulous concept. You can interpret innovation in various ways. A person sitting on the roadside repairing punctures has his own way of working. He has found a way of working fast and efficiently. He has basically learned and used his mind to create a new way of doing a job. So that is an example of a general innovation. As I said, it's a nebulous concept. The chef in the kitchen in a hotel needs to work very fast. So he has his own style of working. He decides this is how I need to work. So, that kind of a thing. So the major interpretations are innovation for an application or application for an innovation. The difference. Henry Ford created the assembly line. That was an innovation for an application, which meant how do I produce cars in a very effective manner. He wanted to do it fast and in huge volumes. So he came up with this concept of the assembly line. And in that assembly line, the work was distributed. A lot of innovation is done, but then there's no application. You look for an application. So that is another way of looking at innovation. The noun actually.
Yogesh.
Yeah.
Disturbance.
Yeah. You have a question? No. If you have a question, just raise your hand and we'll find out. We'll do that. Now, innovation is a noun that basically means that it's an action or process of innovating. You create a new method, a new idea, or a new product, etc. A technological innovation designed to save energy. That is what Envinova is trying to do. Solar energy, we all know, but how many different ways can I use solar energy? Smart streetlights, for example, with motion sensors and other sensors. That's an innovation. Oh, I should actually be running the slideshow.
You can actually use the reading mode.
I actually should have used the slideshow. Wait.
Yeah, this is much better.
Yeah. That is what I actually meant. I created a slideshow, but okay. So innovation is a practical implementation of ideas that result in the introduction of new goods or services, or an improvement in offering goods or services that could be existing now.
Right.
So that's how the definitions that we read about is disruptive innovation, eco-innovation, induced innovation, innovation leadership. But at the core of it, the essence is that it is the systematic practice of developing and marketing breakthrough products or even better products and services for adoption by customers. The customer is important. You innovate and there are no customers, it's not innovation. Innovation requires discipline. By definition, innovation requires a disciplined approach, critical thinking, and hard work. These are the three pillars of all innovation. Design methodology and critical thinking are the first two pillars. How do you innovate? The basics, you should understand the requirements of the product or service that you propose. Design, it could be the flow. It could be, in the case of electronics, the circuit diagrams, the components that you use, etc. Implementation. This is the most important part. Most startups fail at this stage for two reasons. They haven't done the requirements and design properly, which means that their implementation is incomplete. And second, they do not understand fully the parts of their implemented, the parts of the solution. They have not studied them.
Remote de do. Yes.
Okay, so ये example है implementation. Remote, ma'am के पास है, somebody needs the remote. Okay. So a lot of startups do not do their homework, which means that without having gone through the requirement stage, the design stage, they jump into the implementation stage and they flounder. And they are not willing to accept that they do not know. Verification becomes very important. A lot of mistakes are made during the implementation, and unless you verify them in the lab first and then in the field first, which is what we call prototype testing, you cannot launch it. And finally, maintenance. I've launched the product, I've launched the service, but it needs continuous monitoring. So we read a lot of comments on Facebook or other social media about a product or service where the expected level of customer support has not been provided because the startup did not bother to plan for maintenance. How do you specify a product or a service? Okay, some of these statements you might think that they are meant only for electronics or something, but they're not. They are pretty general in that sense. There are going to be a few things which are specific to electronics, but that's okay. You can generalize them. The requirements are defined by first high-level specifications. So Zomato, when they start on the drawing board, they'll say, I want to deliver hot piping food within this time. That is a high-level specification. That's what you might call the definition of what I want to do. Then I start defining the what's. What has to be done, not the how. How is a solution-oriented word. The what. I have to know what I'm doing. So once I start on working for a solution to or design of a new product or a service, the starting point is the what. What is it that I'm going to do? Okay. The requirements need to be clear. This is absolutely essential. A lot of startups make this mistake. Their specifications are defective. They don't define the what, they'll define the how, and their requirements are not clear. I have seen examples of startups who have shown me their product. And they say, sir, we are developing this. So when I ask them questions about the components they are using, oh, sir, we are going to use this, we are going to use that. They haven't gone through why. I had a startup that was working on designing what they called a data logger. It had a temperature sensor, among other things. I asked them what sensor they were going to use. Oh, so we are going to use this sensor. I said, why? And they had no idea. The only reason why they were using that sensor, they had heard only about that sensor. But it did not meet their requirements. And it was tough for me to explain this to them, why it did not meet their requirements. But the fact is, they had missed the first two stages and gone directly to the last one, implementation. The requirements need to be technical only when and where necessary. So when you're working on a technology product, yes, you need technology, you need technical inputs. Your requirements have to be testable. If Blinkit says we are going to give you a 10-minute delivery, have they tested it at various traffic conditions? If in the morning there's no traffic, I'll definitely be able to deliver in 10 minutes. But if in the afternoon or at the peak office hours, there's so much traffic, can I still do it in 10 minutes? So that is testability. Testing your hypothesis. And never be shy as a startup of looking at cases for reference. Learn. Most startups are scared of doing it. These are just a list of requirements of interest. Some of them, this is a general list. A lot of it is related to technology, but the user interface is very important. The Zomato app, the user interface has to be very clear. Regulatory is very important across the board. Industry standards. If the same product is delivered by another company, they have defined the standards. Do I match up to their standards? Safety, security. So these are examples of requirements of interest. And at various stages for different startups, we end up looking at the relevant ones. How to write a good specification? This is very, very important. You need to use consistent language and clear terms. I had mentioned clear terms. Shall, should, will, must. My app shall look like this. It should do this. It will do this. It must do this. This defines the working of our app as well as the requirement that your app is to meet. Categorize your requirements. Now, this again is something which most startups do not do. If I am to measure temperature, what kind of temperature measurements do I need to make? If I am a chartered accountant, I have to audit the accounts of a company. What are the various things that I need to look at? What are the kind of documents that I need from the company so that I can audit properly? They are very well defined, but they need to be used. Be descriptive. You see, writing is a skill that people are forgetting. But unless you write, you will not be able to define what you want. Once you start writing, you will be able to find your design constraints. If I need to design for measuring temperature up to 120 degrees, and the component that I'm using can work only till 80 degrees, I can't do it. So these are just examples. The firmware should provide a serial debug interface. The product shall meet the standards for a medtech device. The product shall be easy to use. Once you put these things down in your specification sheet, believe me, most of the work is done. I remember when I was working for a company called Northern Digital Exchanges, I was the head of R&D, and we had a collaboration with Oki Electric Company of Japan. And I used to go there to interact with their R&D people. One of the things that I found was that they always started with creating documents. Out of the 100% time for the project, they ended up spending between 55 to 60% purely on documentation. It took them just 20% of the time to actually end up designing the product because they had put everything, defined everything so clearly in their documentation. They would spend 10% on testing because, again, their design was such that the testability was already included. And 10% was for rework if required. So this documentation part, which forms the basis of any design work, design activity for any field, is very, very important. And startups, I'm sorry, in my experience, miss this. They skip this step. Remember, going to market is not an excuse. I have to hurry, go to the market, therefore I don't have time to do this. No. You go to the market, you end up making a lot of problems. So you'll end up, redesigning and reworking and things. You're wasting your time. But if you do everything in a proper sequence, you will be able to perform better. Your product will have better performance in the field. How do you create a requirement? Brainstorming within your team. Maybe talk to your friends and things. There has to be one dedicated owner, which means a person who is, for example, a team leader. It is his responsibility to make sure that he collates everything. That's the how part. Who do you interact with? Domain experts, end users, usability experts, technical domain experts. End users are very important. When I design a product, I do it in a way which is considered to be the opposite way of what people normally do. I write the user manual first. So when I write the user manual, I'm thinking like the end user. When you think like the end user, you will look at how the product is going to be used, write the manual, you will end up learning more about your product, even without having started the design. Checks and balances are important. Is my idea feasible? Again, during brainstorming, you can cross-check this. You defined a project timeline that will constantly need to be revised because you haven't taken care of something or something happens and you need to revise your timelines. But this is what we used to do with I don't know if anybody is using the CPM or PERT charts these days. You all know CPM and PERT charts? Never heard of them.
You're talking about project management tools?
Yeah.
I think I remember using Jira.
No. CPM is critical path analysis. So you define a critical path, you define all the activities, how they are dependent upon the previous activity, and you look at you define the time taken for each activity, and the shortest path between start and finish is a critical path.
Right. Okay.
And that critical path is the one that you need to concentrate upon to make sure that everything is done properly. And the PERT chart is again to track your activities. Okay. We used to use these, and nowadays I think nobody uses them. But they are a method of putting on paper your entire project timeline, all your activities, the time that you need for an activity, how the activities are related to each other. Much better than putting all of this in an Excel spreadsheet or a Microsoft project. Okay.
Can I just ask a question, Mr.
Yeah,
Tejinder?
sure.
Yeah. So, hi, this is Kamal from Data Blair.
Yeah, hi, Kamal.
Yeah, so it's related to the documentational part again. So I'm using my company, we are using for the SOPs, the Obsidian. So it's basically the mind mapping tool.
Yeah.
Right. So the documentation part is there, but once you click on certain links, so you will be connected with the other things, other documents. And in the same way, we have documented our software, we have documented the process of sales, we have documented every single aspect of business in Obsidian. And now we can see the mind map of the entire organization. Like if we need to do something, there is a standard operating procedure following the path. Will that be good, or is there any other tool that we can look after and plan something like the efficiencies in the operational efficiencies for the scaling things up?
Okay, see, the purpose of documentation is to make sure that everything is recorded. Okay. Using these tools, and what I understand is that you already have a fairly decent process where everything is documented, all the stages are documented, the linkages are documented.
Yes.
So if somebody is missing out on any one of those steps, can be traced.
Yeah. Correct.
Okay. So traceability becomes automatic when you have everything documented.
Yes.
It is immaterial what kind of tool you want to use or prefer, as long as it is easy to use and it is able to define your requirements, your linkages and the activities clearly.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't use tools. I'm scared of using those tools. I prefer to use what are called data flow diagrams or these kind of things.
It's
So
data flow diagram. Data flow diagram. Okay.
Yeah. Because I've done a lot of work in telecom, and in telecom we use these kind of things pictorially, because that is how you define the way a call is going to process through the entire. You go off hook till you go on hook. So during that time, what are the various activities that are going to happen and how they're going to be handled, which processes are going to be required. So once that is there in front of you, it becomes trivial. The design becomes trivial. Control becomes trivial, because if you've missed a process or you've made a mistake in one of your decision points, you can immediately find out, this is where I made a mistake. So as long as the document is easy to use, is clear, it doesn't matter what tool you're using to create the document. But please, I believe in simplicity. Simpler the tool, easier and better it is. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. So managing requirements. When you are creating a requirement, you can use various kind of things, note cards, whiteboards, tier sheets, text documents, spreadsheets, tracking tools, whatever. You're creating something. Once you have made a basic document, it has to be reviewed. Did I miss something? I don't review it myself. I get it reviewed by somebody else. And if there is a change management. That is why in a lot of technical documents, you will find that there is something called revision 1, revision 2, which defines, okay, between the original document, then revision 2, these clauses changed. So that is a change management. If you have specified the use of a particular subroutine, you define that this is what it's going to do, but later on you're making some modification. So you issue a change note that this is now this. And the same is documented in that subroutine. So that is change management. That is why you'll find that all of a sudden you'll get a message, say on WhatsApp, your app is being updated. And you'll get a reason why it has been updated. Bug fixes, added a new capability or whatever. That forms part of change management. The second most important aspect of innovative thinking is critical thinking. You have a multiplicity of ideas when you're working on a solution. So critical thinking is the ability to think clearly and rationally and understanding the logical connection between ideas. What does critical thinking require? That you have to be an active learner than a passive recipient of information. So when I'm designing a product, I know that I define this is the kind of component that I'm going to use. I have to actively learn out of the 10 different components that are available in the market, which one of them is better. I can't do it unless I learn about it. Once I have an idea, it has to be questioned. I can't say, I want to do this. Somebody has to be able to help me in understanding why. I have to, if somebody shares an idea with me, I'll try and, act as a devil's advocate and try to find out why this idea will not work. Okay. Socrates used to use what is called the dialectical method. He would share ideas, learn about ideas through dialogue. He never wrote anything. Plato wrote whatever he had learned from Socrates. And that is why the book of Plato called Dialogues. So that is what gave rise to dialectical thinking. Dialectical is using through dialogues. So if I'm sharing an idea with somebody, asking questions, what do you think about it? Okay, if we do this, what happens? The other person says, if you do this, this will happen. But if you don't do like this, this will happen. And then, one thing leads to another. Even our ancient rishis, they use this process. So a lot of the religious commentaries evolved like this through dialogues, sharing ideas, having a discussion, and coming to a conclusion. So that is very, very important. And this is what leads to a mindset where you're constantly thinking, asking questions, evaluating possibilities. Okay. So with critical thinking skills, you can understand the links between ideas. I started with one idea, somebody proposed something similar. Okay, how do we link the two? What is the commonality? How do we put the two of them together to come out with something better? That is the essence of a dialogue. You need to be, you understand the importance and relevance of arguments and ideas. Recognize, build, and appraise arguments. Rather than saying, "Ay, isko kya pata?" I open my mind and listen to that person. Perhaps that will trigger some thinking in my mind and maybe lead me to a better solution. So I typically tell startups that I try and mentor that the three most dangerous words that you could use are the two most dangerous words that you could use are "I know." The moment you say "I know," you close your mind. And the three most important words are "I don't know." The moment you say "I don't know," you kept your mind open. You're open to learning. You're open to accepting criticism. You're open to accepting that my idea has been shot down. And why? Okay. So these are the two very important aspects for all startups, especially when you're innovating. Please use the words "I don't know." Once you do that, you will identify your inconsistencies and errors in reasoning, because you're learning from somebody or something. And you will be able to approach problems in a consistent and systematic manner. The most important, if I take a stand, I should be able to justify it. This is what will happen if you have this concept of critical thinking. Can I hold two conflicting ideas in my mind? try doing it. It's doable. And that is what critical
Yeah, Mr.
thinking
Tejinder,
teaches you.
I have
Yeah.
a question for you here.
Yeah, sure.
So it's related to the industry standards we are talking here, right? And most
Yeah.
of the time, startups don't know what the industry standards are. And that is where this critical thinking or the things you are telling right now comes under. Like, we need to be able to see through things in the industry and learn from the other people which are doing automatically. They are not guided to do the things like that. It's the
Yeah.
standard they are following from their seniors or from the SOPs or some other ways, right?
Yeah.
So learning from them and creating something on our own, right? And which may or may not meet the industry standard. Will that be good because we are creating our own standards?
No, there are two ways of looking at it.
Okay.
If it is something which has not been done before and has not been defined in the standards,
Yes.
fine, create something and make sure that it gets recognized as a standard.
Got it.
But if you are doing something which is which has to be part of those standards, you have to
Okay.
meet those standards. You can't. Okay.
Got
So
it. Got it.
yeah,
Thank you so much.
most as you said, again, most startups, they are not willing to spend time in doing their homework. Can you believe it? Engineering startups trying to work in hardware, those boys cannot read a data sheet. They're
I
using a
have
component, they can't
I've
read a
seen
data
it.
sheet.
Yeah.
You've seen this.
But the data sheet is huge. If you see the microcontrollers, like if you go through the Atmega 16, it's of 350 pages. So data sheet
That's
is also
fine.
huge. But the
No,
features they are using from the controller, they must know from the data sheet itself. That's what I believe.
see, that 350-page document that you're talking about
Yes,
defines everything in detail.
correct.
Okay, these are the DMA lines, these are this, and it defines how they are used. No, the first thing is the data sheet of that Atmega processor. That's a maximum of a 7 to 10-page document.
Yeah.
It defines the capability. It defines this is my CPU standard, this is the memory that I can address, these are number of IO ports, this and that.
So basics
Then
are
it will tell you these are the pins that I have in this. Then it will talk about the electrical characteristics, the derating curves and things.
correct.
That is the starting point. That 350-page document comes later.
Yes.
Okay. So, but most startups, if you even ask them, what is the derating curve, they don't even know that. Which is a pity. And worst case, something which is even worse. They say we know how to use an oscilloscope. But you ask them, how do you create a Lissajous figure? What they have on their face is a huge, huge question mark. Lissajous figures, what is that? So I don't know what. Okay.
So they need to face the industry first. So customer will going to teach by asking the right questions to them. Then they need to go back to their board and start learning again and again before
No,
they can satisfy.
no. Why do they need to have to go to the customer?
Okay.
You know, the missing thing is the willingness to learn. Okay. See,
but what exactly needs to be learned? How they will going to know that?
oh, once they're, for example, they're looking at a document, at a component, they should be able to understand what that component is capable of. You know, when I was in college, I stayed back for my MTech in power systems. We had a guest faculty from IIT Bombay, and I was working in the lab. I'd set up two machines, think them, you know, put all the meters, etc., etc. So he came in and he started asking me, okay, what exactly is your experiment? What are you doing? I told him this is this. I was very proudly. At the end of it, he asked a very simple question. what is the RPM of this alternator?
Okay.
I had no idea.
Okay.
Then he told me, look, whatever tool you're using, this is a tool. As far as you're concerned, your machine is a tool.
Yes.
Your meters are a tool. If you are using a tool, you have to know what it is capable of. And that is actually very sage advice, because unless I know how to use a component, how can I use it? Okay. So that is very, very important.
But from the business standpoint, I think if we get into the technologies only, and we start doing the researches, learning stuff, documenting stuff, building something. But in this journey, we need to also know that we are not a big company. We are a small startup with limited resources, with limited time, and we need to figure out a business model out of it, right? So before getting into the nitty-gritties of the tech part, first we need to, as a startups, we need to come up with the basic business models and go to the market and test whether this kind of technology is required or not. I think
that is why this critical thinking becomes important. If you look at all of these stages, you're exactly doing what you just mentioned.
Okay, yeah.
When you're defining your requirements, that is the first stage that you're doing.
Correct.
The use of the selection of components and which component to use, etc., that forms part of the implementation stage.
Yes.
So unless your foundation is not structured, how can you start implementing? Okay.
But students start implementing directly without looking at the business side of it.
The business side is automatically happening. You see, that is one of the mistakes that startups make, is they start thinking of how much can I sell, for how much will I sell, and what is my market. That happens, but it clouds your judgment, because then you're not looking at the process.
Yes.
You're shortcutting the process. And believe me, the amount of time that you spend on your design phase helps cut down your implementation time.
Correct.
Okay. So that is the reason why all of this is important. Okay. And the purpose of talking about these things is to hammer home the idea that you cannot afford to take shortcuts. Okay, so the skills that we need for critical thinking, we just spoken about them: observation, analysis, interpretation, reflection, evaluation, inference, explanation, problem solving, decision making. These are a very standard part. Implementing them requires discipline. Okay. Now, this is a very important thing. As humans, we do not think critically all the time. Quite a lot of times, we end up thinking out of, chalo kar lete hain, emotionally. Okay. So our thinking gets clouded by our environment. If I'm feeling happy, I'll probably eat 2 chocolates, forgetting the fact that I'm diabetic and eating chocolates is going to harm me. Okay. Since our critical thinking ability depends on our current mindset, we can learn to implement this ability by developing certain routine activities. So, as is written in Gurbani, Man Jeete Jagjeet. Control your mind, focus your mind, learn how to use your mind to concentrate on the idea that is important for you. It requires training of your mental faculties.
Absolutely. Tejinder ji, just a heads up, if you want to ask your audience for questions, because we are reaching our time limit. So
Sure. I mean, the audience is free to, the Kamal has been asking questions. So anybody can ask me questions, not an issue at all.
yes, the session is going amazing and a lot of doubts are clear. Friends, I would like to ask you if you have any particular questions related to your business. If you want to share about your business on the chat, you can do that. Just Kamal Thakur has shared. So please feel free to ask questions to our speaker, Mr. Tejinder.
There are
Any
5 chats. Do they have questions?
I'm at it.
No.
No, not right now.
So, anybody, please feel free to ask questions. That's what I'm here for.
So we can carry on and we'll ask,
Yeah.
we'll give them another 5 minutes to
Sure.
formulate.
Sure.
Sure.
So I have one little, query. I mean, I keep thinking on these lines. How
Yeah, Kiran.
the AI tools, with the emergence of Chat GPT now, or many other chatbots, you know, I don't know, sometimes it's very
I am a
scary.
regular user of it.
Yeah, so we
The
are,
paid
we all,
version.
up to a certain extent.
Okay. Let me tell you something.
So,
Artificial intelligence is not new. What exactly
yeah,
does artificial intelligence mean? It simply means that out of millions of references, I am able to select the most relevant ones very fast. Isn't it? After all, where does it get the intelligence from? Created by humans.
true.
Okay. So instead of me having to search through millions of pages of documents, my artificial intelligence program goes on the net, searches for those relevant things, and very fast and puts out something. What both artificial intelligence and ChatGPT cannot do is verification. People have sent me code.
Yeah.
They've sent me code, sir, we generated this code using ChatGPT, very efficient, very efficient. And when I look at that code, I find, number one, it is much bigger than what is required. It has bugs. It's not written according to the proper coding standards. There are no comments, no definitions of variables, nothing. It will work, but buggy. So then they tell me, sir, वो chat GPT revise करता है, ये करता है. यार, उससे जल्दी तो खुद लिख लोगे. With so much, programming these days has become trivial. You open up an SDK, define what you want. Mostly it's drag and drop, and most of your code is automatically generated. And it's decent enough to do a lot of your work. You just have to put in some specific commands and your code is ready for testing. So we use a lot of artificial intelligence and during my days of writing software for telecom, switching system software. Even in your mobile phones, a lot of artificial intelligence is automatically built in the switching software. And it's been there before the term artificial intelligence came into being. In fact, the first ever application of artificial intelligence was way back in 1954, when Bell Systems created their first electronic switching system. Okay, so that's it. I've created, my team and I have created artificial intelligence rules during our software programming for telecom.
Yeah, even Kiran, I would like to add something from my company, from DataPlayer. What we are doing using large language models. We are implementing this ChatGPT kind of capabilities with the real-time plant level data for the large hydropower plants.
Mhm.
That means now you can chat to your entire plant, and the chat GPT kind of a model can also plot the graphs and all the deeper side of the insights related to the operation and maintenances of those plants is there on your fingertips. So innovation is coming from all across the parts of various fields and various technologies from this AI part. So it's extremely important for all the startups to at least give it a try in your zone, whatever, if you feel like it can help you somewhere. So I suggest that, yes, it's a big deal for the corporates. It's big deal for the world right now, the AI.
Yeah. So, but Kamal, remember that where did your inputs come from? Your inputs came from some physical devices.
Yeah.
You collate that information.
Mm-hmm.
You have a program that collates that information and
Yes.
presents the result in the form of a graph and things.
Correct.
Okay. So earlier, all the PLCs used to do this.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why
Now,
we have created
what
a
is?
system. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So
go
we
ahead.
have
Go
created,
ahead.
yeah, we have created a system. We call it central monitoring system.
Yeah.
So the companies who are doing the O&M, so they have entire portfolio of power plants. So
Yeah.
now they wanted to make the decisions, they want to do the analytics. So they can't go to the operators of PLCs or SCADA operators. They cannot ask for the reports all the time and do all the manual loggings and all those stuff. So
Yeah.
a central monitoring system is required, which can fetch data from all the power plants and make it a centrally controlled system, right? Not controlled, but monitored system.
Yeah.
So that is where the AI technologies can now leverage all those data which we are collecting from years now. And now we have also implemented machine learning stuff over there, and then some predictions, some critical analysis is also going on there. So lots of values are coming up, and reports are getting generated automatically, all those stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So innovation we are driving there, but when we started, we didn't knew anything about the industries. So
Yeah.
that's why we had the knowledge of software, we had the knowledge of hardware, but we didn't know how to go to the market and how to talk to the customer and what exactly they need. So it took us 3 years to come up with the exact business model, and then the processes are there, then all the team, and then how we will scale up, how we will do the things. So a lot of actions in last 3 years. So tech is also the integral part of us.
See, tech and from plant A, the data has to flow to your central station. Similarly, from plant B, plant C, and your control system software has to collate all that data.
Correct.
And present it. Okay.
Yes.
So what becomes critical? The communication.
Correct.
The protocol between your plant and your central monitoring station becomes important.
Yes. So we are making sure. Yes. We are making sure.
So once you define that protocol, the data will flow.
Correct.
So your program in the plant is collecting the data, will transfer the data to the central station in a certain format.
Correct.
And when you get it, your control system software will recognize that format and present it in the defined manner.
Correct.
Okay. So I'm sorry I've broken everything into these simple things. But one of the things that we learned in college, our professors, they drilled it into our heads. Keep it simple.
Yes.
And if you get stuck, go back to first principles. So automatically, it's become part of my life. Automatically, you try to simplify the things so that you can understand better.
Yes.
So that is why my column in this magazine, Data Quest, it was very popular, because I would pick up a complicated technology, a complex technology, and explain to the layman how it works. in very simple terms. So people used to love it. So
Yes.
I ended up explaining how microprocessors work, how memories work, how floppy disks work, hard disks work, and things like that. Yeah, what is fiber optics, and a whole lot of these things. And we used to get a lot of suggestions from our readers. Can you talk about this also? Can you talk about this also?
Yeah.
But now, Kamal, we've ended up defining a very interesting requirement also.
Yeah.
Simplify your things. If you can simplify everything, it
Yes.
means that you understand what needs to be done.
Correct.
Okay. So that's another result of critical thinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
So who said it? What did they say? Where did they say it? When did they say it? Why did they say it? How did they say it? This all becomes part of your simplification process. Okay. Oh, repeat ho gaya. So in summary, yeah.
Sir, amazing, sir. Just would like to extend my gratitude. In fact, you made my day. I mean, you were talking about, being simple. Being simple is now new extraordinary. I really love the way you emphasize on the basics. Now, कभी-कभी students के साथ बात करता हूँ, engineers, for example, they say purpose is to become an engineer. No, it just means what you will do after becoming an engineer, sir. So I think we should not get bogged down with AI. It just means.
Exactly. The other day I was attending a book launch by one of my juniors from college. He retired as the global CEO of Nestle. And his book talks about disruptions and creation of using technology. And during our discussion, I had a very simple comment. I said, look, technology is there. You have two options. Either you control technology and make it your slave, or you let technology control you and you become its slave. Unfortunately, it's the second thing which is happening. Students are letting technology control them. So I've seen students, sir, Google kar lenge. तो कीवर्ड्स तो यूज करने सीख लो यार. गलत कीवर्ड यूज करोगे तो you will get a totally unrelated result. Okay, so but that's very important, and unfortunately, Kiran, I don't blame the students.
True.
The
Yes.
faculty itself is under lots of pressure. So they are not able to teach the students the process. The other day, a faculty member in one university was very proudly telling me, sir, we are putting together a syllabus for embedded systems and IoT. I said, good. So tell me about it. Sir, we are going to talk about the latest processors. I said, okay, give me an example. So 8051. So I looked at them. I said, can you tell me the vintage of the 8051? Sir, it's just 3 or 4 years old. It's used so many places. I said, well, when I was in college, I used the 8051 for the first time in 1975. And when they were like, what? Then I told them the 8051 hasn't changed. Yes, it's become part of a lot of system on chips, which are used for simple solutions. So I don't blame the teachers because they are following a curriculum that is ancient and they cannot change the curriculum. So unless that happens, our students are going to face this issue. Okay, let me move on fast now. And implementation, the success is simple hard work. there is no shortcut to success. You have to develop the capability of working smart and hard, which is what our startups miss out on. Sometimes during my interaction, I tell them that every day I spend between 2 to 3 hours sitting in front of the laptop, learning about new things. And the standard question they ask me is, sir, aapko to itne saal ho gaye kaam karte, so why do you have to learn? I said, technology is changing fast. I have to be able to understand what better can I do. See, we are working on the design of a health watch. I've already gone through 3 iterations for the simple reason that the first model we used a component that was excellent, but then suddenly we got an advisory from the manufacturer that one of the critical components, which is the analog front end, is they are stopping production because of low sales, which meant that our entire effort for using that particular component went waste. So we changed that component to another one, but we were not happy with the results. And in the meanwhile, we've come across a component that works better, gives me a better solution. I can use that component effectively to monitor more health conditions than the earlier components. And it's a recent vintage. So none of these so-called smartwatches that sell in India are anywhere near that. So you have to be able to work smart, and you have to, simply hard work here. That's why I end up reading every day so much. So today also my team in Shenzhen, they asked me a few questions about this new project that we have to do. Yeah, Anuradha, time up.
The time up, yes. Actually, I think we have covered a lot, and this topic is very huge and you can't fit it in 1 hour session. So we would still keep it open for discussion. And sir is already showing you the slides. So what was the slide before this? I saw something interesting. So you can take another.
These examples. Yeah, okay. The clothes rack. In a very big departmental store in the USA, people were stealing clothes from the racks. And there was no way to stop it. So they had a discussion on how to. So people said, assign a guard there, do this, do that. One worker came up with a simple solution. She said, you put the hangers next to each other the opposite way. So if one hanger was like this, the hanger next to it should be like this. Right. Okay, so this is how they would look.
Yeah.
So you could not pick 2 hangers together.
Okay.
And that was implemented, and the theft was reduced dramatically.
Why didn't they use barcode or the usual? वैसे महंगा
वैसे ये उस समय बारकोड नहीं होते थे.
Okay, got it.
simple solution. Look at the innovation. All
Right.
that she realized that she thought that, okay, if I do it like this, it's going to make it difficult for the person to steal.
So interesting.
अगर सारे इस तरह से पड़े होंगे, you simply have to pick and that way. Yeah. But now I can't. At best, I'll pick one. I'll pick the second one. I'll pick the third one. Staggered. So that becomes impossible. I'll take just one more example.
Sure.
Camp on busy. People who have used PABXs, you call an extension and it's busy. So you have to dial a code to tell the PABX that, okay, when this person becomes free, please call me back, and then call him and things like that. In the Oki exchange, PABX that we were partners with, they were using what is called a conference card to implement this. So my team came up with a very simple solution. Sir, if I dial extension 243 and it is busy, why don't I just press 3 to register camp on? If I dial extension 517 and it is busy, I just press 7 and it is recorded. We did it and it worked. And our customers were so happy because they did not have to remember a code. They did not have to buy extra hardware. Okay. So this comes out of brainstorming. It comes out of thinking, which leads to a certain innovation. Nobody in the world at that time had a similar solution. We were the first ones across the globe to come up with this idea. Okay. So let me finish off with a quotation from Aristotle. Excellence is never an accident. It is always the result of high intention, sincere effort, intelligent execution. It represents the choice of many alternatives. The choice that you make determines your destiny. Basically, this quotation summarizes whatever I've been talking about.
Beautiful. Beautiful, sir. Really.
Thank you all so much for being so patient. And if you have any questions, I'm open.
Thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom, and it was amazing. My takeaway, which I'm surely going to use in future as well, is the two most important words and three most important words and two less important words. Like, I don't know, which just gives us a reason to research and understand it more. So thank you so much, sir, for sharing your wisdom with all of us. We will take some more time to take questions. In case you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Sorry.
And perhaps you can share, I'll share my email ID.
Yes, very
Is that
important.
okay?
Yeah, please share it.
Anybody who has a question?
I have also shared your LinkedIn address so that people can connect with you.
Yeah.
Friends, any questions? We are here for another 2 minutes.
Okay, I have shared my email ID, and Anuradha has shared my LinkedIn ID. So please feel free to send me any questions that you may have, and maybe.
Yes, I have a few questions for you. Just one question I would like to ask. What your company do, sir?
Oh, we do product design for our customers, and we work in various things. We've designed medical devices. We've designed solar energy solutions. We've designed communication equipment. We've designed smart home solutions. And two very interesting projects that we did was one for an Australian company. This was around 2014. They wanted a smart power bank, which would be able to charge both the iPhone as well as the Android phone.
Okay.
So if you know, there's a difference between the two phones because the iPhone requires a higher current.
Yeah.
So we designed something, and they also wanted that the cable should be integrated. So we designed it so that the cable would simply collapse into the body. So that was one thing, and they sold about 250,000 of these.
Okay.
And we sold it to them for about $6.25 each. Okay. The second interesting thing was a power bank that we sold to a USA company. They, in fact, asked us to design it for them. You know, when they go for hiking up in the mountains, your cell phone battery runs down, your power bank battery runs down. There's no electricity outlet to charge either of them. And you get lost. So what do? So we designed a power bank for them, which had a built-in hand crank generator.
Okay. Yeah.
So you would rotate that, and if you did it at about 100 RPM, you would be able to charge it.
Charge it. Okay.
So that, you could at least make an emergency call.
Interesting.
And it had, a hook that you could hang it on in your hiking gear and things.
Great.
So there are some of the things that we do.
So one question here. If
Yeah.
you create a product like these product you are creating for the international market, like US market, right?
Yeah.
Like how you sell them? What kind of certifications do you require to sell in the international market? Do you need to
Okay.
establish an office there? How you do the
No.
stuff?
Our customer was in the USA.
Okay.
And in Shenzhen, there are authorized labs. So we have CE testing, ROHS, FCC, everything can be tested in Shenzhen. And their certification is accepted.
Okay.
So for the power bank, for example, just the CE and ROHS is enough. ROHS basically relates to the components that we use. But the CE certification is important.
Okay.
So we got the CE certificate for the customer in
So
Shenzhen.
how much it cost for you from the certification point of view to take this to international?
We charge the customer.
You charge the customer.
It varies from, depending upon the test, it can vary from $1,000 to about $10,000.
Got it. So it's
So
an
we can do all kinds of testing there. Your environmental testing, your you name it, drop tests and everything.
Okay, what exactly the name is? Can you please name it? I can
Kamal, I think we'll connect you with sir one-to-one. We'll fix up a Zoom call. So I think already 90% of people have left the meeting. So I think it's better we can close it right now.
Yeah.
Right, Kamal, you have my email ID. Feel free. And
Yeah, email or maybe another one we can connect. We can fix up a Zoom call, one-to-one Zoom call also. And we can fix it up a Zoom call, one-to-one Zoom call, and where we can have discussion. Or maybe Keshav, you can fix it up for tomorrow morning. So you can take whenever tomorrow or also as convenient to you, both of you, and where you can have discussion. And
I'll send you the LinkedIn. I've sent you the LinkedIn request. Please accept it there.
Okay, I'll
Thank
do
you.
that.
Thank you.
So
Thank you, Mr.
thank you
Sahil
so
and
much.
the team. Yep.
Yeah.
We're really happy, Kamal, the way you interacted and engaged in the session. Interesting, and we really admired that the way you were engaged, and all the participants who are here who gave their time. And Tejinder ji, once again, thank you so much
My
for
pleasure.
meeting all our members here. I am once again telling everyone that we have these sessions every Wednesday at 5 o'clock. And Punjab Angels Network is a great platform for startups as well as investors. So if you are still not a member of Punjab Angels Network, feel free to approach me or Keshav. Keshav, please write your phone number on the chat window quickly. So feel free to connect with us for getting the membership form and the payment link. We would like to have you all on our events offline as well as online. Thank you so much and have a great evening. Thank you once again.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Tejinder ji.
Thank you, Anuradha.
Thank you, Tejinder ji. Yeah.
Thanक यू साहिल. और अनुराधा, आपकी कॉफी अभी भी पेंडिंग है.
Sure,
आप मेरे को
sir.
दिखा के पी गई.
My treat, sir. For sure. All right.
Sure. चलिए. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you. Bye.